Hi, I'm Bettie Grady, and thank you for tuning in to the Rejoice with Bettie Grady show. I've got a story to tell. Hey there, IP Cousin Maria. When I heard the phone ring, I wish you could have seen me. I made a mad dash to catch it. I surprised my own self. I can't tell you when I've moved that fast, cuz I got so many irons in the fire, it's not funny. You get a day off work thinking you're gonna catch your breath, not so. All kinds of house chores. Just a calling my name, Betty. Oh, busy Betty. I never knew washing could talk at you. Clothes talking, linen talking, walls talking, appliances talking, even my stomach started talking, calling out, and just a growling and carrying on. Well, of course, that's because I'm hungry. I was in the kitchen when you called this second time. Whew. So what's up? How are you feeling? Cousin Betty, sunny California is good weather-wise compared to your Chicago. Me, personally, I could be better. I hear you, Cuz Maria. Sorry I didn't get back to you yesterday. It's been crazy busy in my world lately. I've got you on speaker phone. No worries, though. Nobody's home but me right now. IP Maria, let me tell you, cuz, just what I got wind of. Sister Poochie called me. You remember her, don't you? Well, anyway, Sister Poochie ran down the latest on their church rebel saga. That's what I call it anyway. At the big church, you know, the one around the corner from me in my neighborhood. This deacon judge seems to be bound and determined to form a new committee. He's stirring up a big ruckus among the congregation in a boisterous manner, saying he wants to make the landscape of the church more modernized, quote unquote. That's what I'm hearing. Now, mind you, Cousin IP Maria, the new pastor of the church, along with the congregation, had an all-church meeting and came to a general consensus to put that landscape project on hold, at least for the time being. But this man, Cousin Betty, hold up. You're running off at the mouth a mile a minute. Calm down, will you? Before you have a cardiac arrest. Whew. And people say, I talk fast. What do you always tell me? Be quick to hear and slow to speak. So, Cousin Betty, bop de bop. Practice what you preach, sweet darling. IP Cousin Maria, I need prayer. Pray for me. I mean it. Betty, I know you mean it. You got a heart of gold, but right now, baby, your heart is a bit insensitive. Remember, I called you. Whatever happened to phone etiquette? I'm so sorry, Cousin IP Maria. You're right. 1,000 times you're right. My foot's all up in my mouth. I don't know why I'm so out of sort. Betty, I suspect you're discombobulated because of what our other cousin Miss Messy Moo, is going around gossiping about. IP Cousin Maria, now I've really been praying hard for Muta. I really believe the main reason she's now suffering in her body so much is because she's too much of a busybody in other people's matters. And God don't like that. Betty, cousin Messy Moo, she's telling people you came over her house and stole a 10-pound bag of sugar. IP, cuz Maria, you know that's sheer foolery and not to be dignified with even giving that nonsense any attention. And cuz, etch this in your brain, remembering that I told you, don't ever try to run down a lie. Why, people will chew on a lie faster than their favorite food. And serve it up to whomever will listen. God says liars won't tarry in his sight. Now, what Muta isn't saying is that as tired as I was when she called me to give her a bath, as well as do a few other things, I didn't hesitate to come to her rescue. I know she needed help, and I was glad to extend my services. Jesus clearly lets us know when we help others like that, we're doing it as unto him. Me, I'm all about ministry and love it. My pastor often says ministry is about meeting needs and healing hurts. I didn't go around ringing a bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, telling people I did this for Muta and I did that for Muta. Quiet as kept, I'm really glad she kept that a secret. I'd much rather my glory come from God than people any day. Well, cousin Betty, now I feel a whole lot better. I've been worrying for nothing. I just knew Muta had elevated your blood pressure with this mess. Now, IP, cousin Maria, how sweet of you to be concerned about me. But now, how many times do I have to remind you what God said about worrying? Ears up, cuz. God says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and asking with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto him. And yes, I've heard people say so many times, that's easier said than done. Well, just let me add this saying, practice makes perfect. Now, IP, cuz Marie, make me feel better. And repeat, practice makes perfect 100 times. Cousin Betty, you missed your calling. IP, cousin Maria, so just what is my calling? And negative, Betty, I'm not headed down that boulevard. You got too many. IP, cousin Marie, I hope you're not signifying that I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. I laugh with you, dear cuz. We know we can do some kind of clowning whenever we get together, whether it's by phone or in person. I love it. This is your dime, so tell me what's really on your mind. IP, cuz Maria. Well, cousin Betty, what's really been bugging me is this guy, Bobby. You know, the one I told you about and how I met him through a mutual friend. I can't believe I took such a strong liking to him and so quickly. But now I'm in a state of confusion. because of him. He says so many contradictory things like, I'll be over tomorrow. Then, Betty, he doesn't come. He'll say, I'll pick you up from work. Then he'll call and say something like, something's come up and I can't pick you up. Then he'll say, I'm going to treat you to a nice dinner. We'll dine sumptuously. Then he'll say, oh, I had an emergency and I'm short on money. Can you pick up the tab? I'll pay you back later. But more often than not, I never see the repayment. I know this is an earful. But sometimes Bobby is as good as gold. He'll bend over backwards for me, doing all kinds of thoughtful stuff. Like one day, out of the blue, he slipped a beautiful necklace around my neck. He said it belonged to his grandmother and he wanted me to have it. Of course, when he did that, I melted like butter emotionally. Another time I was freezing cold in this restaurant and he took off his suit jacket and wrapped it around my shoulders. Again, I melted. Bobby makes me think he's got a degree in being a doctor of mind reading. He seems to have some kind of sixth sense about what I'm thinking. I don't know, Cousin Betty. I'm just confused and somewhat skeptical about this relationship I have with Bobby. I don't like feeling like I'm on a tilt-a-whirl of rational and irrational thinking where Bobby is concerned. Dear IP Cousin Maria, this kind of confusion nobody needs until misbehaving Bobby. Sorry, but that's just how I see him right about now. Can be consistent in manning up. I'm saying thumbs down to that man. Girl, run, run. Don't you let him clown you. And I gotta stay saved. He really don't want Jesus and me taking the fastest fighter jet I can get to California. God is not the author of confusion. Betty, it's something how a woman can want a good connection with a good man so badly that when some men exhibit bad behavior that's not even cool, and it even glares at some of us like a car's high beams, and then we yet toss these eye-opening circumstances right on out the window. Then later something else will slap us hard in the face again. And we're like, wow, where'd that come from? What's wrong with us women? Yeah, IP, Cousin Maria. I think a whole lot of us women have been there. We finally rouse ourselves saying, duh, enough is enough. God doesn't want his children to be foolish. And we most certainly don't have to live beneath our privilege, being that of royalty. Cousin Betty, God is amazing. When truth is brought to light, that's all a person needs for PEACE, peace. I'm good. Now, I know just what to do. Now, finish your story. IP, Cousin Maria, after you raised my blood pressure on your drama? You want me to finish the church rebel saga? You got to be kidding. Pretty please, pretty Betty. Well, okay, cousin IP Maria, I'll finish my story only because you called me pretty Betty. Ooh. But, cousin IP Maria, you'll just get the short version of the story now. So, this Deacon Judd rounds up a small faction of church members for this newly formed committee of rebels who, by the way, clearly need more of Jesus, to hold a number of secret meetings. Deacon Judd underhandedly had the church treasurer to pass funds over to him under the guise of it being used for something totally unrelated to what the requested funds were actually used for. Then one night, over in the midnight hour, piles of dirt was dug up on the church grounds, mind you. Details of all this church drama came to the light after the fact. And guess what? When the light of day came, oh boy, the headlines of every TV, radio station was breaking the story. Church deacon falls in the pit. The deacon Judd, who so maliciously chose to undermine the pastor and the congregation, had fallen into a huge hole on the grounds of the church where dirt had been excavated. The not so good deacon had to be rushed to the hospital where it was announced that both his legs were broken. You know, Cousin Betty, that story should give people in general a cause to pause and reflect. I have perception to know God's judgment upon us can be either swift or slow. God's response, well, a person just does not know. Cousin IP Maria, how right you are. And I sense that me, myself, and I had better respect God's leaders and God's house. You're talking about a dirty shame. Deacon Judd. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember to choose to rejoice evermore. Blessings.